Hi everyone, and welcome back to another exciting video about the 7 habits of highly effective people. For today's video, we're going to be talking about habit 3, put first things first. Before we begin, the author starts the chapter off by asking us 2 questions. Question 1, what is one thing that you could do that you aren't doing now that, if you did it on a regular basis, would make a big positive difference in your life? Question 2, what is one thing that you could do in your professional life that you aren't doing now that would bring about similar results? So keep these 2 answers in the back of your mind and we'll revisit them in a bit. So habit 3, put first things first, is the practical fulfillment of habits 1 and 2. Habit 1 says, you are the creator, you are in charge. Habit 2 is the first or the mental creation about what you want to do in your life. Habit 3 is the second creation, the physical creation. Again, it's the fulfillment of habits 1 and 2, and it's the doing it. Personally, I would summarize habit 3 as weekly planning and scheduling around your priorities with the focus on putting people first and time second. So more into detail about this chapter. Habits 1 and 2 are essential and prerequisite to habit 3. In order to live habit 3 effectively, we need to have effective self-management. And the ability to manage well determines the quality of the second creation. The author explains that independent will makes effective self-management possible. It's the ability to act rather than be acted upon and to proactively carry out our plan. And in order to develop our independent will, we need to have personal integrity. The author says that it's a value that we place on ourselves, and it's the ability to make and keep commitments to ourselves. If you say you're going to do it, then do it. Effective management is putting first things first. Leadership decides what the first things are, your priorities. Management puts those first things first, day by day, moment by moment, scheduling around your priorities. Management is discipline, carrying it out. The author then explains that discipline is derived from disciple. If you're an effective manager of yourself, then your discipline comes from within. You are a disciple, a follower of your own deep values and their source. You have the will and the integrity to subordinate your feelings, your moods, and your impulses to those values. The author then quotes a statement from an essay called The Common Denominator of Success by E.M. Gray. The successful person has the habit of doing the things failures don't like to do. They don't like doing them either necessarily, but their disliking is subordinated to the strength of their purpose. This subordination requires a purpose or a mission. Habit 2, a clear sense of direction and value. This also requires independent will to be a function of your values, which will give you the power to do things that you don't want to do. A quick, easy example is exercise. Sometimes I'm feeling really lazy, tired, or whatever, that I want to skip a day. But deep down inside, I value health, so I'm able to push myself and get my workout in. Moving on, the author talks about the 4 generations of time management. He summarizes the essence of time management through the following phrase: organize and schedule around your priorities. So a quick summary about these 4 generations of time management. First generation is about using notes and checklists. Second generation is about using calendars and appointment books. It's about looking ahead and scheduling activities in the future. Third generation is about prioritization, of clarifying values, and comparing the worth of activities based on their relationships to those values. It focuses on setting goals that align with your values and going about accomplishing those goals. Now, the problem with the third generation is that people end up feeling too scheduled and too restricted, and it gets to the point where it negatively affects their relationships and their quality of life. So the 4th generation offers itself as a solution to the 3rd generation. Here's a good one. The author mentions that the challenge is not to manage time, but rather to manage ourselves. Instead of focusing on things and time, the 4th generation focuses on preserving and enhancing relationships and also accomplishing results. Moving on, the author talks about the time management matrix. Here's an image. The 2 factors that define an activity are urgent and important. Urgent is that it requires immediate attention, such as a phone call. Importance has to do with results. If something is important, it contributes to your mission, your values, and your high priority goals. The author says that we react to urgent matters. Important matters that are not urgent require more proactivity for us to act upon them. Quadrant 1 is both urgent and important. It deals with significant results that require immediate attention. Quadrant 3 is urgent but not important. The urgency of these matters is often based on the priorities and expectations of others. The author goes on to say that people who mainly spend their time in Q3 and 4 basically lead irresponsible lives. He says that effective people stay out of Q3 and 4 because they're not important. They shrink Q1 down in size by spending more time in Q2. The author continues to say that Q2 is the heart of effective personal management. Q2 are things that are not urgent but are important. Quadrant 2 activities deals with things such as building relationships, long-range planning, writing a personal mission statement, exercising, preventive maintenance, and preparation. So what he's saying is that we need to focus our time with Q2 activities, which increase our effectiveness and makes a huge positive difference in our lives. And that's the answer to the first 2 questions that we brought up at the beginning of this video. Again, we need to focus on Quadrant 2 activities. Also, doing Q2 activities help reduce the crises and the problems from Q1 because they're thinking ahead and addressing potential problems before they turn into crises. The author then talks about the topic of saying no to certain activities. We need to decide what our highest priorities are and have the courage to say no to other activities out there that don't align with our values and our mission. The author says that a center of correct principles and a focus on our mission allows us to have the wisdom to make the effective judgment on whether to say yes or no to certain activities. The author mentions that the essence of effective time and life management is to organize and execute around balanced priorities. We need to have a principle center and a personal mission statement in order to have the necessary foundation to continue doing Q2 activities. We need to internalize habit 2. Once we do this, then we can keep on doing Q2 activities without feeling unmotivated throughout time. Self-discipline alone is not enough. We need that foundation. Bringing us back to the time management dimensions, the author explains that the third dimension mainly helps people schedule around their Q1 and Q3 activities, but it doesn't really question the importance of the activity in the first place. And the author says that none of the first 3 generations gives us a useful tool to help us live a principle-centered Q2 lifestyle. Therefore, there's a need for a 4th dimension that will allow us to be principle-centered and to do the things that are most important to us, and it also has a strong focus on putting people first. Moving on, the author explains that the objective of Q2 management is to manage our lives effectively. The author talks about something called a Q2 organizer and how it needs to meet 6 important criteria. This Q2 organizer is pretty much like a calendar that helps you schedule your most important priorities. 1. Coherence. Coherence is basically having harmony, unity, integrity between your vision and mission, your roles and goals, your priorities and plans, and your desires. Balance. The tool should help you keep a balance in your life, making sure to not neglect important areas in your life, such as your health, your family, your job, or personal development. Quadrant 2 focus. We need our organizer to focus on Q2. The best way to do this is to do weekly planning, which is more effective and provides a better balance than daily planning. We need to deal with prevention rather than prioritizing crises. We need to schedule our priorities, not prioritize what's on our schedule. A really cool thing the author mentions about the Q2 weekly organizing is that it gives you the freedom and the flexibility to handle unanticipated events. A people dimension. The tool also needs to be able to deal with people, not just schedules. Interactions with people are important, and you shouldn't feel guilty when your schedule is not followed because of your interactions with others. Flexibility. The schedule has to work for you and your needs, and it should not be your master. Portability. The tool needs to be portable and accessible easily. Moving on, the author talks about how to become a Q2 self-manager. Q2 organizing involves 4 key activities. 1. Identifying roles. Roles as an individual, family member, at your job. Identifying the different areas in which you want to invest time and energy on regularly. 2. Selecting goals. Figuring out what results you want to accomplish in the next week. These weekly goals should also be tied to your longer-term goals from your personal mission statement. 3. Scheduling. This is when you look ahead at the week with your goals in mind and schedule time to achieve them. An example would be exercising, setting aside an hour 3 to 4 days a week, or every day. After scheduling your priorities, you're going to realize that you're going to have a lot of free time left. Again, Q2 weekly organizing gives you the freedom and the flexibility to handle unanticipated events, to shift your scheduled activities if needed, to preserve your relationships and your interactions with other people, To enjoy spontaneous experiences, all while still being able to accomplish your goals. 4. Daily adapting. As mentioned, even with our weekly planning completed, we'll still need to be able to adapt to and respond to unanticipated events. Trying to prioritize activities before knowing how they relate to your personal mission is not effective. The author says that the more completely your weekly goals are tied to correct principles and to your personal mission statement, then the greater your effectiveness will be. So by having habit 2 deep inside ourselves, and as a principle-centered person, we will be able to feel more at peace with our decisions if we ever have to change our schedule due to unanticipated events. We can adapt and be flexible. The author then moves on to emphasize that the 4th generation self-management is better than the 3rd generation because the 4th generation recognizes the principle that people are more important than things. The 3rd generation time management mainly only cares about efficiency, and people end up becoming so stuck to their schedule and inflexible, even when it comes to dealing with people. The author gives an example of his son who was all about scheduling and efficiency. He had every single hour of his day planned out every single day. When the son decided to break up with his girlfriend, he allotted 15 minutes for a phone call to do that. When the time came, the phone call ended up taking over an hour and a half, and the son became really upset about it. Here's a really cool statement from the author. He says that you cannot think efficiency with people. You need to think effectiveness with people and efficiency with things. A lot of this is about being flexible and putting people first. Moving on, the author explains the 5 points that make the 4th generation better than the 3rd generation. 1. It's principle-centered. It helps you see your time in terms of what is really important and effective. 2. It's conscience-directed. It gives you the opportunity to organize your life in line with your deepest values and gives you the freedom to be flexible if needed. 3. It defines your unique mission, including values and long-term goals. It gives you direction and purpose in how you spend your day. 4. It gives you balance in your life by identifying roles and by setting goals and scheduling activities for each role every week. 5. It gives greater context through weekly planning. These 5 points show that there is a main focus on relationships and results and a secondary focus on time. To wrap things up, the author presents a computer metaphor on the first 3 habits. Habit 1, you're the programmer. Habit 2, write the program. Habit 3, run the program. Live the program. I hope you all enjoyed the summary about habit 3, put first things first. Again, I highly recommend everybody to read this book to get the full details and to read more on the examples that the author provides. Thank you all for watching. Like this video if you enjoyed it, leave a comment on your thoughts, subscribe for more epic videos, and I'll see you all next time for habit 4, think win-win. And this is me, Socrates. Until next time.